Okay, so now that we've talked about all the beginning of year stuff like our syllabus and classroom procedures, let's go and talk about what we'll be doing in Algebra 1 this unit. So this is our first unit. You can see it's a relatively short unit. This should be a review of what you learned last year. So today, we are Black Day, so we are here on the 27th. And we have first our pre-test and diagnostic assessment. Again, this is just something that I have to collect data for, and we have to get a beginning amount of data to see, okay, what do you know starting out? And then as the year progresses, you'll be learning more and more of the material, and then you'll get this assessment again in the middle of the year to see if you've progressed, and at the end of the year to see how much you've progressed. So we'll start off with that today. And then we're going to go ahead and dive into our notes, so translating verbal and algebraic expressions. That's just simply like, if it says 9 minus 4 times a number, how do you write that out? So you literally write the 9 and then the subtraction sign and 4 and x. So that's what we're doing today. We might not have enough time for the activity. If not, that's okay. We'll just do that during the stinger. But so we've got notes today, and then your homework is going to be doing homework number 3, Luck of the Irish, which is just practicing that translating verbal expressions. And also just make sure you get supplies, get that binder, pencils, and erasers would also be good to have. And then bring in that either box of tissues or 2 extra markers. Now something with Algebra 1, you'll notice that we have mini quizzes each day. So we're going to try this out for our first unit. This might change later on, but what it is whatever your homework was over, your mini quiz will be heavily concentrated on that. So tonight your homework is about translating expressions. Next class we'll have a little mini quiz. It's like 3 to 4 questions, just half a sheet. And that'll be over what your homework was on. So it's really important that when you come in, we'll go over homework first and any questions before we take our mini quiz. So it's really important you do your homework so to prepare you for the mini quiz, but also that you know what questions to ask so you can do them all on the mini quiz. And then we'll go into our next set of notes. So in this unit we have translating, the very basics of exponents, radicals, that's that square root thing, absolute values, and order of operations, that's your PEMDAS or GEMDAS. And then evaluating expressions, so if I have something that says like 7x minus 4, and we know x equals 5, I'm plugging that in. And then distributive property, combining like terms. So kind of the very, very beginning basics. Again, this should be review what you learned last year, but hopefully if you struggled with it last year, you can do better with it this year. And then like I said, you'll notice mini quizzes each day. And at the end of the unit, on the day of our exam, that's when I'll collect your papers and do that binder check. And you do get a grade for that, that's a quiz grade. So you'll get a grade for doing your homework, and then a quiz grade for just simply having the papers from class filled in. Okay. Any questions with this? Awesome. So you don't want to lose this because this is where I put your homework points. If you lose this sheet, then I don't have the homework points to give you. So make sure you don't lose this sheet. It's very important for you. Okay. Let's go ahead. So we'll transition now to our Smarter Goal Diagnostic. And again, what this is simply, these are topics that by the end of the year, you should know how to do. So some of them you've already learned, some of them you don't know yet. So what I want you to do is just give your best attempt on each one. And I'm actually going to have you start at number 16. I know this is strange. Let me go right up here on the board for you. Ignore that, we don't have assigned syllabus yet. So on our Smarter Goal, I want you to start at number 16 and do 16 through 20. These questions you already learned last year, so you should know how to do those. And then once you have finished those, then go to number 1 and proceed. So you'll notice then number 1 through 5, you'll probably know how to do 6 as well. And then once you get to 7, you might or might not know how to do it. So start off with 16 through 20. Those ones you should know how to do from last year. Then go back to the beginning and go ahead and try those ones. You'll be able to do the beginning ones, but it's okay if you don't know how to do the end. Some of it you haven't learned yet. But if you already know it, awesome. Go ahead and show me that you know it. And then, like I said, by the end of the year, you'll know how to do all this. Okay? Questions with that? You will write on this, so just make sure you put your name on it. You'll actually write on this and turn this back. And when you're doing math in here, I ask that you do it in pencil, because when we make mistakes, we can't erase that. Extra? Thank you. If I ever accidentally pass up too much, just let me know and I'll come and collect the extra.
It looks pretty cool, do you want it? Why not, right?
Okay, so first thing, please make sure your name is on it. That is most helpful for me to know who knows what. So write your name on the top, and then go ahead and flip it over to the back side. Start off with number 16. Did anyone happen to bring a calculator today? I'd be very impressed if you did. Okay, so while you're working, I'll bring calculators around to you. Normally, I have you come up around and write your name on the board, but if everyone needs one, I don't have to get back. So go ahead and start working. I'll give you probably about 25 minutes for this. 20 to 25 minutes. Because again, I know that you're not going to be able to do the end part of it, so start off with those problems and then just do the best that you can with it. And for now, once you're done, just go ahead and put it into this tray over here. And then we'll keep going with your notes. Go ahead and start with number 16. Start there. And then number 16. Today, or hopefully what we're reviewing today, is how to take expressions and turn them into words, or take our words and turn them back into expressions. Basically, we're translating between words and numbers. So if you take a look on that paper you have in front of you, we've got quite a few blanks within there. And what we're going to do is talk about what are different words that mean addition. So let's go ahead and write the symbol. The symbol for addition, we know, is of course a plus sign, so let's go ahead and put that there. So we want to talk about what are some of the words that mean addition. Actually, let's go through and let's go ahead and first just put the symbols down. So I know that this plus sign here is addition. What does subtraction mean? What symbol is that? Good, the subtraction sign, the minus sign, that would be another word for it. Multiplication, you can see it a few different ways. Back in elementary school, you probably saw it like this, where it was like 4 times 3. But now that we're in high school, that can actually mean x for a variable. So we don't write it that way anymore. We'll write it with that dot. And another way you can write it is also using parentheses. So that parentheses or that dot. Division. That's our division. So I don't know if there's another word for that, really. Who knows what it means for is greater than? Is greater than. Yeah, what's the symbol? Oh, I need to practice my names. I think Emma, is that right? Is that your name, Emma? The halfway hand raise? Does this look familiar?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So is greater than, just like that, is greater than or equal to. What do we do if it's an or equal to?
Or more than.
Good, very good. Is greater than or equal to. And then is less than is the other way. And is less than or equal to. And then what's the equal sign? Just our equal sign, right? Okay, so there's various phrases that mean these different things. So like, for example, addition. If I wrote this, what would you guys say? 5 plus 4. So we know the word plus means addition. Some other words would be like the sum of or added to. What about if I wrote over here this? 5 what? Minus 4. Good. So that's the nice easy one. Minus. Sometimes they get a little weird with it and they'll say the difference of. Or they'll say less than. Now less than is a weird one. We'll talk about it in just more about it in a moment. But when you say less than, you say 4 less than 5. Notice there's no is in front. Just 4 less than 5. If there's an is means you're going to have either that symbol or the equal sign. All right. How would you read this? 4 times 3, so that's probably the most common. Another thing would say the product of 4 and 3. And then what if I had over here this? How would you read that? 4 divided by?
3.
So these are the most common ones. We're going to talk about some not quite as common ones. Okay, and then these are already the words for it. Is greater than, equal to. So I'm going to give you a list of the different phrases to kind of help you break it up, but that's the basics of that. So what we're doing is we're taking a look at, when I have it written down words, 3 more than 5 times a number. So when we go to translate this, let's see if I can get it. We know that's 3. What does it mean if it says more than? Yeah, plus. Very good. Then 5 times a number. So 5 times, what's a number? X. Very good. Awesome. So now, there's something kind of tricky with this. When you see this phrase, more than, or you see the phrase, less than, you have to actually switch the order. So we would actually switch our order here, and we would have the 5 times 5 times x in front, plus 3. Now, when it's a plus sign, it actually doesn't make a difference. But when it says less than, let's say again it was that 4 minus 9, right? We could read this as 9 less than 4. If you said 4 less than 9, that would mean something completely different. It would be 9 minus 4. So for addition, it doesn't really make a difference, but for subtraction it does. So we just like to say in general, when you see more than or you see less than, switch the order. But what you have to be careful with is there's a difference between that and when it has is in front. When it's an is, that means you're going to have the symbols. Okay? Is means you have the symbols. So this translates to 3 plus 5x or 5x. Okay. So here we have just a neat little thing. We'll just do a couple of these just for sake of time. Let's see. So if I were to take a word out of here, added to, which symbol is that going to be? Good, the plus sign. Let's see, taken away from. Is that going to be plus, minus, 1? Good, minus. So these are some of those words we don't use as often. Ooh, just less. That's going to be our minus 1. That's that less than. 4 less than 4, or 9. Or if we said 10 less 6, 10 minus 6. Increase by? Good. Area. So this is a weird one. Area means we're going to multiply. Yeah, we want the area of the triangle to multiply on the formula together. Perimeter means we're adding. So these are some of those not as obvious ones. Total of, and we're going to add it all together again. Come on, where's the division one? Subtract, that was easy. That was too easy. I want a division. Still product. Ooh, fraction of. What do you think that is? Division. Division. Okay. Now we'll move on to this. So those are again just some of the phrases for it. All right, and then again, similar type of thing here. Equals. That one's pretty easy, right? All right. Is greater than. We already talked about that. Where's the tricky ones? Is equal to. We talked about that. Give me the good ones. All right. Is at most. So is at most is kind of a strange thing. At most means it's going to be one of our greater thans. Okay, so is at most means it's bigger than something else, right? Is at most. So that's kind of that weird one there. They have another one that's like is less than or is at least. Okay, so let's take a look at. Where's the paper? It's in here somewhere. There it is. Okay, what I'm going to hand to you is that list of those phrases. It's already put into those categories for you. We've listed kind of the basic ones. So when we translate, you can use the basic words. Like if it says 10 minus 6, write 10 minus 6. You don't have to say the difference of 10 and 6. If you really want to, you can. But it's easier to say 10 minus 6. So sometimes we take the numbers and we have to write it out in words. And then sometimes they give us the words we have to write into numbers. So this is just a list. This is a really good list to have on hand, especially when you're doing your homework here in the beginning. And to kind of guide you as we're doing this translating. Of course, you won't have it for quiz and test, but it's a good resource when you're learning this stuff right now. So again, we have the obvious ones, like we said, addition is plus, right? And then these are some of those other kind of weird ones. So key thing, if you want to put a star next to it, is the more than, greater than, we have to flip the order. And we select perimeter. But the more common ones would be up here. Added to, the sum of, and plus. Or if we say 5 and 6, that means addition. All right. Multiplication, we had product of, times probably the most common one. Raised to the, or the power, that's some of those not as common ones with the exponents there. Area means we're going to be multiplying as well. And there's common words too, like twice or, I was going to say thrice, but no one says thrice these days. Twice means to do 2 times that, right? Or double, triple, those would be some other words for it. right, subtraction. Again, our obvious one is minus. These are the ones you've got to be careful with. Put a big star next to it. They like to put those ones on the SOL on the test to see if you're paying attention. So if it says 10 less than 4, you would do 4 minus 10, so you flip the order. Okay, and then we've got division divided by, and then again some of those other kind of strange ones. Half of it means we're divided by 2, a third of it divided by 3. And then these last ones down here, there aren't as many words for this. But less than or equal to is less than or equal to is at most. So some of those strange ones, that is at most, it is at least. Okay. So miscellaneous down here, it says the quantity of. Quantity of means we're going to be using parentheses. So it might, so something like this. This would read as 2 times the quantity of x plus 6. Quantity lets me know that it's not just 2 times x, but 2 times this whole thing. So it means you have to use parentheses. Okay. Any questions with this? Okay. So going back to our number 1 notes, so this was our number 2 worksheet, right? Go back to your number 1 notes that we were at and flip it over to the back side. We'll do some actual examples of this. Okay, so again, sometimes we have words, we translate it into numbers. Sometimes we have numbers, we translate into words. So when you're translating it into words, you might have a different answer than the person next to you. They could both be correct. But when we're putting it into numbers, we should all have the same answer. All right, so it says 3 more than a number is less than 17. Whenever I see that is, I like to circle that, because that means either the equal sign or those carroty looking things, right? The alligator mouth. Okay, so is less than. What symbol is that going to be? Is less than. Good, the carroty thing, right? So is less than. Okay, well we know what 17 is. That's nice and easy. And this is 3 more than a number. You guys were awesome with the number means x. We know what 3 is. Okay, this is the other tricky thing you gotta be careful with. More than. Take a look at that sheet. More than means we have to flip the order, right? So when we go to write this out, more than is the plus, but we have to flip. So I write flip. Okay. So instead of saying 3 plus x, we're going to say x plus 3 is less than 17. Now again, because it's addition, we could write it either way. So if you had 3 plus x, that would be okay. All right, questions with that? So example 2, 5 more than twice a number is 25. Is 25. Is alone here, so what symbol would that be? Equals, very good. I know it's going to be equals. We're just going to throw my equals down there. I feel pretty confident with it. We know it equals 25, so I'm just going to go with that. All right, so let's translate the left side. You didn't know you'd be translating math, did you? You thought you'd be translating in like your Spanish and French, or if anyone's taking German class. You get to translate in math too. So let's translate the left side. 5 more than twice a number. Okay, more than we know we're going to have to flip. So we have our plus sign there, but we have to flip. So my 5 comes over here instead of in front. Twice a number, 2x, very good. 2 twice a number x. 2x plus 5 equals 4. Let me write that twice. And next unit, I think it's next unit, maybe even after, we're actually going to solve and find out what x has to be to make this statement true. Okay, we did this first couple kind of fast there. Do we have any questions so far? All right. Okay, if this looks familiar to you, give me a little thumbs up in front of you. If you've never seen anything like this before, give me a thumbs down, just so I can kind of. I want to see everyone either thumbs up just in front of you. You don't have to like show it for all the class. You've seen this type of thing before, you haven't seen it, or you think maybe you saw it, but it was a long time ago. Okay, awesome. It was a long time ago for me. All right, so let's do our next one. 7 less than a number is greater than or equal to 11. Notice how I read the entire statement first before we actually start writing it down. So it's good to read the whole thing first. So I like to, again, look for my symbols. Is greater than or equal to. My goodness, so many words just for one symbol. Is greater than or equal to. 11's easy. All right, let's take a look at the left side here. 7 less than a number. All right, less than, we have to flip. Okay, we have to flip again. So less than, there's no is in front. So this is I think the trickiest of them all. That means we're going to have to do a subtraction sign. We're going to do a minus sign.
X minus 7.
Good, x minus 7. Awesome. We had to flip the order. 7 came over here, and number came over there. Very good. You guys are doing awesome. Any questions with that? Another thing that I would like in my classroom is that we always keep our heads up. I know we get tired, but when you put your head down, you've told me I've given up. And we can't give up in here. We've got to keep going on. All right, example 4. The quotient of a number and 3 is 17. Again, I like to look for is. I know it's an equal sign. The 17 is nice and easy. I love that part. What does quotient of mean again? Divide. So we can do division either with that sign, or you could actually write it as a like this, number on top, number on bottom. It's up to you. In high school math, you probably see it like this way more often than like that. So if it says the quotient of a number and 3, we just go in that order, a number and 3. So x divided by 3 equals 17. If you use this bar over here, let's take a look what that looks like. That would be x divided by 3 equals 17. Again, this is kind of how we wrote it back in elementary school. This is how we write it in high school as well. But either one is acceptable. Questions with that, going from words to numbers? Okay. So let's just do a couple of these numbers into words. Again, you could do it a little differently. We saw how there's lots of different ways to say plus, but I would recommend on your quiz, because remember, we have a mini quiz next class. We'll have mini quizzes each day. You'll do your homework tonight for practice. We'll go over a question in the next class before a mini quiz. But I would recommend just say plus. Say the easy one. You don't have to go fancy. You don't have to say is increased by. Just say plus. Just say times. Make it easier on yourself. All right. So let's go take a look at example 1. 3 times y. I like that, but we need to say a number. I always just say y and I forget. 3 times a number. Good. 3 times a number is greater than, okay, that is in front, 15. I do want you to write out the words 15 and 3. I shouldn't see any symbols or numbers when you're writing it out. The annoying thing with that is you're writing a lot. Okay. So again, I like to just kind of read it out to myself, and then you're almost just writing those words down.
4 times a number.
Good. 4 times a. And again, anytime we have a letter, we have to just say times a number, because we don't know what that is. So we have 4 times a number. Then what would we read next? Plus 21. Good. I should have written smaller. Plus 21. Then what do we read the rest as? Good. Equals 33. You can say is 33 if you want, but I see an equal sign. I think equals. I say equals 33. Man, it takes so much longer to write out these words. Questions on those first 2? Okay. Let's go ahead and go to example 4 here. For example 3, I would just say x divided by 5 equals 2, or sorry, a number divided by 5 equals 2. Let's take a look at example 4 because it has those parentheses. So again, we're going to have 5 and we're multiplying, so we're going to say 5 times. And when we see those parentheses, we're going to say the quantity of. Okay, so we're going to use parentheses, the quantity of. So 5 times the quantity of. Quantity of. Good. A number minus 6. I guess this one's forever long. Okay. What is this going to be?
Is less than or equal to 10.
Good. Is less than or equal to 10. Is less than or equal to 10. On your test, you're not going to have 20 of these, I promise, just a few of them. Okay. Questions with that? So it brings us to our homework, which is just worksheet 3, doing some more practice with this. And remember, so when the bell rings, you can just leave the calculators on your desk. I'll come collect them. But when the bell rings, you're going to go to TA next, okay? So again, your homework is this worksheet 3. You can just shade it in with your pencil. You don't have to like get out of it. If you want to make it beautiful for you guys, I don't mind. Yes. So if you want to keep those papers, notice their numbers. You put them in order. That's spell check for your record. There's a whole bunch here actually. So guys, anytime you want to use my whole ones for more than you want them to, you just stick it in space when you push the button. Is there anyone that's in that unit? So on your schedule, teacher advisory. Teacher advisory. So keep walking out. You pass the calendar. Let me know if you need help finding your TA. Teacher advisory is what that means. Hello. Yeah. I'm up. Thank you for your input. Oh yeah.